All right, welcome back. Welcome to Absolute Martian Manhunter, issue 4. It's been a while since we covered the last of Martian Manhunter. But last time we actually went over this. We learned about the White Martians, kind of, and what they are here for. And it's to cause chaos and eliminate the Green Martian. So with that, let's hop in. We start on a bright, sunny, hot day. And on a hot day, as they usually are, tempers are rising. People are upset. When you're hot, you're uncomfortable, you get upset easier, blah, blah, blah. And then John talks to his wife, who he has not really been talking to very much, but it's written all over her face. John, we need to talk. He interjects, we can't. There's some kind of riot downtown. From the looks of things, it's a big one. Violent shift in spectrum, manic Martian bleach light. To that she says, I didn't hear you make a call. Quit making excuses. Well, I'm not. I'm serious. People were hurt and nobody knows what caused it. They need me, Bridge. And she's upset. I need you. We need you. Why is that hard for you to understand? And the White Martian seems to be getting to her, as she is getting more and more pissed off at John. But he leaves and goes to the crime scene, where there is blood, teeth, 21 broken bones, 9 concussions, and a woman who will never walk again, not to mention a few $100,000 worth of property damage. All that over spilled coffee. High in the sky, the sun is the color of traffic jams, child abuse, and hypocrisy. The Martian looks concerned, or maybe resigned. Bad idea number 8429, white heat of war. One of the police officers respond, it's the heat, 103 in the shade for 10 straight days. Our brains are boiling in their own juices. Everyone's walking around half cooked. Advanced, powerful, ingenuous will take time, effort, energy to repair. So the Martian works on cooling things down. It's better to try to cool things down, metaphorically speaking. Metaphor equals reality. By the way, what happened to Mayweather? That's the man we saw last issue, his partner. Well, he quit 3 weeks ago, and I don't really blame him. This shit gets in your head. So his partner quit, and the Martians are taking advantage of the sun and everyone's negative emotions to feed off the city. Most in Middletown are either an immigrant or the child of one. Over 130 languages are frequently fluent here. Visions like fields of wildflowers, endless blooming points of view. There are communities from places most Americans have never even heard of. People without countries to go back to. But a second chance takes work. I never saw before now. Never understood how much work. Second chances mean living with centuries-old cultural enemies. Second chances mean finding a way to hold on to your language, traditions, and values while adapting to others. For the most part, they make it work, which I can see why now is kind of a miracle, and also the most natural thing to do. Mundane and miraculous as breath, just for the most part. Our Happy Heart lane, people are literally steaming mad. The steam screams in a high-pitched outrage. It whistles, curses, and promises violence and degradation. Literal equals metaphor. So that's our theme today. Literal equals metaphor. It signals series intent. The Martian is still going to work on the sun, trying to infect and help everybody in the bone white light, which no one else seems to notice. Prejudiced people worked hard to put away suddenly flare back to vivid life. John sleeps next to his wife again, but not touching. He gets up in the middle of the night. On day 12 of the heat wave, the thin strip of grass between 961 and 963 Coolidge Road starts a war zone. Matt Galvers and Galvin Hill have been neighbors for 20 years. They watched each other's kids grow up, shared a love of craft beers and cars they could never afford. But a long-standing argument over the property line had suddenly exploded into all-out war. So these men, who have been friends for years, start a little war, essentially, just by this heat. So everybody's going way too far, because this is nuts. Each side patrols the makeshift wall 24 hours a day in 8-hour shifts. Even the kids aren't spared. The Martian had no luck with the sun, so he tried to treat the symptoms. It's temporary relief at best. We remind Matt Galvers about the time the Hills watched the little guys and mowed their lawn, got a meal train going, while Matt sat up all day and night with Selma during her cancer treatments, and resultant unpleasant side effects. And we remind the Hills of the good old time the Galvers saved their precious little Mikey from getting hit full on out by a out of control semi. How scared and grateful they've been. So John saves them, goes back to his wife, and then immediately leaves again. So this issue is mostly about John and his wife growing more and more separate as John keeps going back to work. He leaves a little note, I will be back late. On day 13, there are 13 separate unprovoked police shootings at routine traffic stops all in one day. The police are red-faced and unrepentant, a million justifications beating on the windows in their own interrogation rooms. The families of the victims are visibly swirling with outrage, revenge fantasies, and carefully planned retaliations. And we see Bridget alone with their son. Then again, she sees John leave another time. Things get violent quickly in the alley. There's a disagreement as to whether a member of the Lucky Strike's toe went over the line. That one's crazy. Big bowling alley goes full riot. He comes home. He sleeps alone on the couch this time. Bridge finds the couch empty again as he goes back to work. John just keeps going back to work. A holy war breaks out between the Church of the Lord Redeemer Jesus Christ and the Church of the Redeemer Lord Jesus Christ. That one goes to show they believe in the same things, but yet still they argue. They only had split the year before over baptism. One believed a sprinkle was enough, the other called it full submission. Even some of the church members can't remember which is which. And while staring at the sun, one of the little boys comes up to John. Hey, you shouldn't do that. You'll hurt your eyes. And then we see John trying to sneak away again in the middle of the night to go back to work, and Bridge finds him. Enough, John. You can't avoid me forever. Bridge, you're imagining things. I'm not avoiding you. We're supposed to be partners, John. But we are. Oh, we are? So where have you been? And then we see her white smoke, his green smoke wrap around it. And so Bridge says, you've never been one to show your emotions. I never needed you to be. All I had to do was look into your eyes, and it was like I could read your thoughts, your feelings. Like they were written in a language only I could read. So the Martian gives him Martian vision again, and Bridget is fully colorful, rainbow. That's why, before now, I never doubted our marriage, doubted how you feel about me and Tyler. And he drops his cigarette, and this has to be one of the most beautiful panels ever. He says, you doubt how I feel about you? He gets down and hugs his wife. And she says, when I look into your eyes, now, John, it's written in another language I can't even read. I don't know who you are anymore, John. And he says, I'm the same man I've always been. But he says that as a Martian. Because he is a new person. He's not the same as he's always been. And she says, really? You move us here without any explanation or consultation? And he says, I explained to you, it's the Bureau. The Martian is fixing the sun at this point. And she says, even without any discussion or notice, one day we just picked up and left. We lived in D.C. for 6 years, John. All our friends were there, and now none of them will even return my calls or texts. I must have called Sam and Evelyn a dozen. No one will explain to me why, and you won't explain why. And he says, I don't know. So she slaps him. One's red, one's blue. I love the art. So one is red, one is blue, and we see a little color wheel. While Bridge and I fight, the Martian fiddles with the sun like a combination lock. It's distracting, but it seems like he's almost got it. And then he does. It clicks. He makes the color yellow. I always knew there were some things you couldn't tell me because of your job. I accepted that because I knew you'd tell me anything important, anything that would affect us. I thought I knew that. The Martian, meanwhile, puts the yellow sun back instead of the white, hot, beaming sun. And we see people start to calm down. She's still not calm. Oh, I'm imagining things. This is for my own good. No, that's not what I said. And then we see 3 different people go to power plants. One's a nuclear plant, one's a coal plant, one's a gas plant. The Martian is happy. He's up on the roof. He says, haha, looks at Mars, little tiny speck far away. And she says, I can't take this anymore. All these secrets, all these lies. I think you should stay somewhere else for a while. And meanwhile, while that happens, the 3 people blow up their buildings. And John can sense it. And she says, I don't feel comfortable with a stranger in my house. And then the power goes out. The Martian says, "It's a misunderstanding, a mistake, stupid. Light was distraction, shiny distraction. Darkness was the White Martian's true intent." So that's issue 4. Basically, the White Martians were getting the attention of the Green Martian to fix the sun, work on this, while they did their real plan, was to cause darkness. After they got everybody into negative emotions, all pissed off, now they strike in the dark. So thank you for watching, listening, and enjoying. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe. Absolute Martian Manhunter, it's so good. I love this run. Peace out.